Tonight, before you go to sleep, there's a decent chance you'll kiss someone, a partner, a kid on the forehead, maybe just a peck goodbye at a door. It'll feel like the most natural thing in the world. Instinctive, human. But here's something that should stop you cold. For most of human history and across most of the planet, people did not do this. Kissing on the mouth wasn't universal. It wasn't ancient. In huge parts of the world, the romantic kiss was completely unknown, and when outsiders first showed up doing it, locals thought it was disgusting. That's not an exaggeration. There are records of people watching Europeans kiss and asking, out loud, why they were eating each other's faces. So if kissing isn't some hardwired human instinct, then what is it? Where did it come from? And why do we do something that, if you describe it clinically, sounds absolutely insane? Two people pressing their mouths together and swapping saliva and calling it love. The answer runs through empires, disease, chimpanzees, and a study that mapped kissing across the entire human species. And it changes how you'll think about the next kiss you give. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Kissing is not universal. In 2015, a team of researchers led by William Jankowiak did something nobody had bothered to do properly before. They looked at 168 cultures around the world and asked a simple question. Do these people kiss romantically? Mouth to mouth, the way we mean it. The answer stunned them. Fewer than half did it. Only 46% of cultures practiced the romantic kiss. The majority did not. In dozens of societies across Africa, the Amazon, New Guinea, and Central Asia, romantic kissing was simply not a thing. Not repressed, not hidden, just absent. It had never occurred to them. And here's the part that flips your assumptions completely. The researchers found that kissing was most common in complex, stratified societies. The more layered and hierarchical the culture, the more likely they were to kiss. Small hunter-gatherer bands, the closest thing we have to how humans lived for hundreds of thousands of years, were among the least likely to do it. Sit with that for a second. The thing you think is your most primal animal urge might actually be a product of civilization, a luxury, a learned behavior, like using a fork. So where did it actually begin? The oldest evidence we have comes from ancient India. In the Vedic Sanskrit texts, written more than 3,500 years ago, there are references to people pressing and setting their mouths together. Not full kissing as we know it, but something in that direction. Some scholars think the romantic kiss was essentially born there, in the Indian subcontinent, and then it traveled. Here's a detail most people never hear. When Alexander the Great invaded India around 326 BC, historians believe his armies may have carried the custom back west. The kiss spread outward from that region like a rumor, passed mouth to mouth, quite literally, across the ancient world. The Romans took it and ran. They were obsessed with kissing. So obsessed they had 3 separate words for it. The osculum, a kiss on the cheek, the basium, a kiss on the lips, and the savium, the deep romantic kiss you're probably picturing right now. The Romans kissed to greet, to seal deals, to show political loyalty. A Roman emperor might rank you socially by where you were allowed to kiss him. Face for the inner circle, hand for everyone else, feet if you were nobody. The kiss wasn't just affection, it was a language of power. But if the kiss was spreading and thriving, then why did so much of the world never pick it up? And why do some scientists think we might kiss for reasons that have nothing to do with culture at all? Here's where it gets strange, because there's a theory that kissing isn't Roman or Indian or human. It's much, much older than us. Watch chimpanzees and bonobos, our closest living relatives. They kiss. Chimps press their mouths together to make up after fights. Bonobos, our other cousins, kiss with what primatologists have politely described as tongue. This behavior sits right there in the primate family tree, which suggests the raw ingredient of kissing might predate humanity entirely. But the most fascinating idea is about where kissing actually comes from, and the leading theory is that it started with feeding. Go back far enough and human mothers, like many animals, chewed food and passed it mouth to mouth to their infants. Premastication, it's called. Mouth-to-mouth contact became linked deep in the brain with nurturing, safety, love. Some researchers think the romantic kiss is an echo of that, a behavior that started as feeding a baby and slowly, over millennia, got repurposed into a symbol of intimacy between adults. The next time you kiss someone, you might be running a program written for feeding infants. Kind of beautiful, kind of unsettling, both at once. And your body treats it like it matters. When you kiss someone, your brain lights up. Dopamine floods in, the same chemical tied to reward and craving. Oxytocin rises, the bonding hormone that ties parents to children and partners to each other. Cortisol, your stress hormone, drops. Your heart rate spikes. In a single kiss, your body is running a chemistry experiment that pulls you toward another person and tells you, on a level below conscious thought, this one, stay near this one. There's even a theory that kissing is a test. a close-range chemical inspection. When your faces are that close, you're unconsciously sampling the other person's scent, their health, their biology. Some scientists believe a bad first kiss can end a relationship precisely because your body just ran a compatibility check and quietly returned a no. So we've got a behavior that maybe started as feeding, that our primate cousins share, that floods us with bonding chemicals. It sounds like it should be everywhere. So why did half the world say no thanks? For a lot of cultures, the answer was simple. They thought it was gross. And honestly, from a certain angle, they had a point. When Europeans began colonizing and exploring, they kept running into people who were horrified by kissing. In parts of Africa and the Pacific, the idea of mixing saliva was seen as unclean, even dangerous. Many of these cultures had their own intimate greetings instead. In parts of Southeast Asia and the Pacific, people pressed noses and breathed each other in. The famous so-called Eskimo kiss, the nose rub of the Inuit, isn't about noses at all. It's about sharing breath and scent, intimacy without the mouth. And you know what? They may have understood something we forgot, because kissing is biologically kind of a mess. A single 10-second kiss transfers around 80 million bacteria between two people. Researchers actually measured this. Every kiss is a migration of an entire invisible ecosystem from one body into another. For most of history, before we understood germs, kissing was quietly spreading disease along with affection, which makes the cultures that refused it look less squeamish and a lot more like they were onto something. So here's where we land. The kiss you thought was the oldest, most natural human instinct turns out to be something far weirder and far more human than that. It's not universal. Almost half the world's cultures never did it. It's not purely ancient instinct. In many places, it's a recent import, carried by armies and empires and traders across thousands of years. It might have started as a mother feeding her child. It lives in the mouths of chimps and bonobos. It floods your brain with the same chemicals that bond a parent to a newborn. And it moves 80 million bacteria at a time, which is exactly why so many people looked at it and said, no, absolutely not. And yet here we are. Most of the planet now kisses. A behavior that half of humanity once found revolting became the near-universal symbol of love, spread person to person, culture to culture, until it felt like it had always been there. So tonight, when you kiss someone goodnight, remember what you're actually doing. You're running a program older than your species, invented and reinvented across 100 cultures, refused by millions, and somehow still the closest thing we have to saying, without words, "You matter to me." We didn't inherit the kiss. We taught it to each other. And most of us never even knew it was a choice.